Hello guys, yes, in this little video I would like to share with you a checklist that I find personally quite useful and that hopefully will help you increase your grade for your essay writing. Now, the first thing of course is to say that it is based on the band descriptors and how I translate it in my own language that is, let's say, easier to understand, right? Okay, now let's take a look at the first one. Task achievement, 25% of the points. There are a few things that you need to do in order to get, of course, the 25%. The first question that you need to ask yourself is, did I ask the essay question? Now, this can depend, of course, on the essay type. It could be a discussion essay, and then in that situation you would need to discuss both views and give your opinion, or you have to write a personal argument essay where you have to agree or disagree with the essay task, or perhaps it is an ideas essay in which you need to describe, for instance, the problems and solutions and or the cause and effects. Okay, now one other thing that you need to do for task achievement is to give reasons. Now, how many reasons do you want to give? One would not be enough, and three is perhaps too much, and because you don't really have time for it. So 2 reasons would be a good alternative. I refer to these reasons as supporting idea number 1 and supporting idea number 2. Now, for each paragraph, of course, you want to give at least one example. I just give just one example, of course. Next point would be to write at least 250 words. It's said that the best essays are around 280 and 290 words, so do not write more than that. All right, do not write more than that. It's not necessary, and perhaps you don't have time for it. And last but not least is to develop your ideas. Now, I devoted a few videos already on this particular element of task achievement. This is definitely something that you need to learn how to do it, because that will give you eventually the full points for task achievement. Okay, now the next thing, of course, that you need to become very good at would be coherence and cohesion. Here you just have to ask yourself the following questions. Did I use a logical structure? For instance, I have an introduction, I have a body paragraph 1 and a body paragraph 2, a conclusion, and perhaps, or instead of a conclusion, a summary. Now, remember that for the logical structure you want to use recognizable chunks of text. All right. Next thing that is on the list here is, did I use linkers? Of course, you have to use these cohesion words like firstly, secondly, for example, clearly, what's more, in addition to, on the other hand, right? All these traditional linkers you want to use as well. Not all of them, of course, in the same essay, but you have to know how to use them and when to use them. Next thing would be, does your essay make sense? Very important, of course, to make sure that what you are writing that actually makes sense, and it has to look visually balanced. Well, I dedicated also a video about this. Visually balanced basically means that when you look at your essay, your body paragraph 1 and your body paragraph 2 are of the same size, and they are not smaller than your introduction or your conclusion, right? So it looks visually balanced. Next part would be grammar and accuracy, 25% of the grade as well. Here you have some questions that you want to ask yourself. For instance, the first one, did I use a variety of correct grammatical structures? What do I mean with this? You want to write or want to avoid using, for instance, only the present tense. You also want to throw in perhaps a past simple, perhaps a continuous form, perhaps a perfect form, perhaps even a conditional. I'm sure they will appreciate that. Make sure, of course, that you know how to use it before you use it. It's not, when you are at the exam, is of course not the moment to experiment with these things. Number 2 would be to use simple, complex, and compound sentences. I've mentioned this topic before in one of my other videos. A simple sentence basically is a sentence which has only one idea, right? A complex sentence is a sentence with two ideas, independent clauses, and in a compound sentence you have an independent clause that is a sentence that can stand alone and make sense, and connected with an dependent clause, also called as a subordinated sentence. You want to play a little bit with these sentence structures, just to show the examiner that you actually dominate these kinds of structures, and of course this will help you improve your grade. And last but not least, in this case, you want to reduce your grammar and spelling mistakes. Use words you know how to write, of course, right? It's not the place for experimentation, okay? Now, and then the last thing that is going to be evaluated would be Lexis, or the vocabulary. 25% of the grades. Of course, here definitely one of the most important things is that you use synonyms or other ways of describing the same thing. For instance, the word people or government is overused in many essays, so you definitely want to find some synonyms for these words. And you can ask yourself, did I use sophisticated vocabulary? Now, I'm not going to say that you need to use sophisticated vocabulary, but what I basically want to say with this is you want to try to avoid to use basic words and use perhaps a little bit more advanced words. What is a basic word? A basic word is perhaps a word you may learn in a beginner's course or a pre-intermediate course. Words like big, words like small, good and bad. These are basic words, right? And you can replace them with other words that sound a little bit more sophisticated. For instance, detrimental instead of bad, excellent instead of good, and small instead of small you could say minute, and etc, etc, etc. So if you notice that you use a lot of these, let's say, basic words, simple words, try to find a nice but more sophisticated equivalent for it. Yes. Next thing would be use topic related vocabulary. Of course, if you know something about the topic, that would be great, but try to use topic related vocabulary as much as you can. Of course, you need to avoid slang, words like stuff. Sometimes people put it even in a plural form, like stuffs, gonna, etc, etc, etc. These words are words you, of course, do not want to use in your formal essay. Remember, it's an academic piece of writing. And the last one would be avoid informal language. Now, what is considered informal language? Words like a thing, right? You do not write the word thing or things in an academic piece of writing. And also try to avoid words like don't, like these short forms of writing, do not or doesn't and does not. So you do not want to use the short forms with the commas, but you want to write it in full because that is considered formal. All right. Now I hope that this checklist will definitely increase your grade. Next time when you write your own essay, Go through this list and then decide whether you have ticked all the boxes. And like I've said, I think several times already in other videos as well, if you want to get a grade for 7 and more, you would have to become very good at task achievement, know what it is, know what you have to do, and the coherence and cohesion. Yes, you want to become expert in those two elements. The other two, of course, remain very important as well, but if you become very good at task achievement and cohesion, your grade will definitely become much higher. Alright, so now I hope this video was helpful, chicos. Remember, if you like this video, please click like, subscribe even to my channel. In the description below you can also find a link to my book, one that I wrote myself, of course, and in which you can find all the tips and tricks you need in order to get a very good grade. Alright, thank you very much for your attention and see you next time. Ciao.